Good day, everyone. I want to talk to you about something we all face failure. We've all been there. We've all experienced setbacks, disappointments, and moments when things didn't go as planned. But what if I told you that failure is not the end? What if I told you that failure is simply a stepping stone to something greater? You see, failure is not final unless you quit. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Every closed door is leading you to something better. When you understand that failure is not rejection but redirection, you'll begin to see challenges in a new light. We've all been there faced with a situation where things didn't go as planned. Maybe you worked hard for an opportunity, but it slipped through your fingers. Maybe you gave your all to a relationship, but it still fell apart. Maybe you took a leap of faith, but instead of landing on solid ground, you found yourself flat on your face. In those moments, it's easy to feel like failure is the end, like the dream is over, the chapter is closed, and there's no way forward. But let me tell you something. Failure is not the end. It's a beginning. Too often we see failure as a full stop when it's really just a comma. It's a pause, a moment of reflection, but not the final word on your story. What may seem like a setback is actually a setup for something greater. What may feel like rejection is often redirection. What may look like defeat is, in reality, a divine opportunity to rise higher. Think about a seed planted in the ground. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. The soil covers it, darkness surrounds it, and to the natural eye, it seems buried. But in reality, it's not buried, it's planted. And when the time is right, that seed will break through the soil and grow into something magnificent. The same is true for you. Your failures don't mean you're finished. They mean you're being prepared, you're being refined, you're being strengthened for what's ahead. History is filled with people who turn failure into a stepping stone. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before he created the light bulb. Walt Disney was told he had no creativity before he built an empire that changed the world. Oprah Winfrey was once told she wasn't fit for television, yet today she's one of the most influential figures in media. What if they had given up? What if they had let failure define them? The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of failure, but the ability to keep going despite it. When failure knocks on your door, don't let it convince you that your dream is over. Instead, use it as fuel. Let it push you forward. Let it remind you that every setback is temporary and every obstacle is an opportunity in disguise. Maybe you face failure in your career, in your finances, in your relationships. Maybe you feel like you've made too many mistakes to recover. But I want to encourage you, this is not the end of your story. The pages are still turning. There is more ahead for you. Don't stay stuck in regret. Don't dwell on what went wrong. Instead, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and step forward with faith. Because failure is not your final destination. It's just part of the journey. And if you keep moving, keep believing, and keep trusting, you'll see that what once seemed like a dead end was actually the beginning of something greater than you ever imagined. Your best days are still ahead. Keep going. We all face setbacks in life. A dream that didn't work out, a relationship that fell apart, an opportunity that slipped through our fingers. Maybe you gave your best effort, poured your heart and soul into something, and still it didn't turn out the way you planned. It's easy in those moments to feel discouraged, to think, why did this happen to me? Why did I have to go through this? Asterisk. But what if I told you that your setback is not the end? What if I told you that the very thing that feels like a loss is actually setting you up for something greater? See, life has a way of turning things around when we least expect it. The things that feel like disappointments are often just detours leading us to something better. The doors that close are making room for new doors to open. What looks like failure on the surface is often preparation for a greater comeback. Think about a bow and arrow. When you pull the arrow back, it might seem like it's going in the wrong direction. But the further it's pulled back, the greater the force when it's released. The same is true for you. Your setback may feel like you're being pulled back, but in reality, you're just gaining momentum. When the time is right, you'll be propelled forward into something greater than you ever imagined. So often we focus on what went wrong. We replay our mistakes, dwell on what we lost, and let disappointment weigh us down. But dwelling on the past won't change it. Instead of looking at your setback as a failure, start seeing it as preparation. You may not understand why things happen the way they did, but trust that there's a bigger plan at work. Think about some of the most successful people in the world, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists. Many of them faced failure before they ever found success. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine if he had let that stop him. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the very company he helped create, only to return and revolutionize the tech industry. J.K. Rowling faced rejection after rejection before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. What's the difference between people who succeed and those who don't? It's not that they never fail, it's that they refuse to let failure define them. They refused to give up when things didn't go their way. They understood that setbacks are not the end of the story. They're just the setup for a comeback. Maybe right now you're in the middle of a difficult season. Maybe you feel like you've been pulled back, like life has knocked you down one too many times. But I want to encourage you, this is not where your story ends. Keep moving forward, keep believing, and keep trusting. The things that feel like obstacles today are the very things that will shape your future success. That challenge you're facing is making you stronger. That disappointment is building resilience in you. That failure is teaching you lessons you'll need for the road ahead. Don't let a temporary setback make you give up on a lifelong dream. Your greatest victories are still ahead. And one day you'll look back and realize that what once seemed like a setback was actually the setup for your biggest comeback. So stand tall, shake off the discouragement, and step forward with confidence. The best is yet to come. There's no way around it. We all face rejection at some point in our lives. Whether it's being turned down for a job you worked hard to get, experiencing the end of a relationship, or having a project or dream that doesn't take off the way you hoped, rejection can feel like a blow to your confidence and your spirit. In those moments, it's easy to take it personally, to believe that you're not good enough or that you're just not cut out for success. It's natural to feel discouraged, maybe even defeated. But what if I told you that rejection is not something to be feared or resented? What if I told you that rejection is not a sign that you're not good enough, but rather a sign that something better is on the way? What if rejection is in fact redirection? You see, sometimes life has a way of steering us away from paths that aren't meant for us. When we experience rejection, it's easy to focus on what we've lost, what didn't work out, and what we thought we were meant to have. But often what we can't see in the moment is that rejection is simply God's way of redirecting us towards something greater. Think about the course of a river. A river's journey is rarely a straight line. It twists, it turns, it sometimes runs into rocks or obstacles. But the river doesn't stop, it finds a way around. It carves a new path that continues to flow forward. In the same way, rejection doesn't mean the end of your journey. It means there's a better route for you to take. Maybe you've been passed over for a promotion at work. It stings, doesn't it? It feels like your hard work and dedication were ignored. But instead of letting that rejection hold you back, what if you saw it as a sign that something even better is ahead? Maybe there's another opportunity that's just around the corner, one where your skills will be better appreciated and where you can thrive in ways you never expected. Or maybe a relationship ended. You invested so much of yourself and yet it didn't work out. In those painful moments, it's hard to see the bigger picture. But sometimes we need to be redirected away from situations that aren't meant to be. Maybe the right person for you is still out there, but they're waiting for you to move on from what's no longer serving you. Rejection is not a punishment, it's a protection. It's life telling you that you deserve better. In the world of business and creativity, rejection is almost a rite of passage. Every successful person you know has faced rejection, sometimes over and over again, but they didn't let it stop them. They didn't take it as a sign that they weren't capable. They saw rejection as a stepping stone, a sign that they were being redirected to the right opportunity at the right time. Take Walt Disney, for example. He was told by a newspaper editor that he lacked imagination. Can you imagine if he had listened to that rejection? He would have never gone on to create one of the most beloved and influential entertainment companies in the world, J.K. Rowling faced rejection after rejection from publishers before Harry Potter was finally accepted. What if she had given up after the first rejection or the 50th? Every rejection, no matter how painful it may seem, is simply a redirection. It's the universe's way of aligning you with your true path. even if you can't see it at the time. You may not understand why things didn't work out, but I can promise you that everything happens for a reason. The rejection you're facing today is guiding you toward your tomorrow, one where you'll look back and realize that what you thought you lost was nothing compared to what you gained. When you experience rejection, don't let it define you. Don't let it discourage you. Instead, use it as motivation to keep moving forward. Embrace the redirection and trust that better things are on the horizon. Your journey may take unexpected turns, but each turn is leading you to a place where you'll flourish, where you'll find exactly what you need, whether it's love, success, or fulfillment. So the next time rejection knocks at your door, don't be afraid to answer it with faith. Don't let it knock you down. Instead, use it to propel yourself forward. Know that rejection is not a sign of defeat. It's simply redirection leading you to something better than you ever imagined. Life is full of challenges, obstacles, and moments of doubt. There are times when we feel as though we're pushing against walls that refuse to budge. The journey toward our dreams can sometimes feel like an uphill battle, one that demands every ounce of energy, hope, and strength we can muster. In these moments, it's easy to question whether it's worth it, whether the dreams we're chasing are even possible. But the truth is, it's during these challenging times that faith and perseverance are most important, and they are what open the doors that lead to the next chapter of our lives. Faith is not just about believing in the impossible. It's about trusting that even in the most difficult moments, there is a higher purpose guiding you. It's about knowing deep in your heart that there is something greater on the other side of the struggle. Faith is the foundation that allows you to take the first step, even when you can't see the whole staircase. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't know how it's going to work out, but I believe it will. Asterisk, perseverance is what sustains you when the road gets tough. It's the strength to keep going, even when everything inside of you is telling you to give up. Perseverance means showing up day after day, even when you're tired, even when you face rejection, even when things don't seem to be moving forward. It's the grit that pushes you through the storm, the determination to keep going even when you don't see immediate results. Faith and perseverance are inseparable. They go hand in hand. Faith gives you the courage to take the first step, and perseverance gives you the stamina to keep moving forward when the journey becomes difficult. Together, they create a powerful force that can move mountains and open doors that once seemed impossible to open. There's a story in the Bible about a man named Noah. God asked him to build an ark in preparation for a flood that was to come. Now, Noah had never seen a flood before. He didn't know what it was going to look like. Yet despite the uncertainty, despite the ridicule from others, he obeyed. He had faith that God had a plan, and he persevered, working on that ark day after day for years. Noah faced mockery, doubt, and countless setbacks. But because he held on to his faith and continued to persevere, he saw the door of safety and salvation open when the flood finally came. Noah's story teaches us that faith doesn't mean you'll see the results immediately, and perseverance doesn't mean the path will be easy. It simply means you trust that what you're doing matters even when you don't understand the bigger picture. When you keep moving forward, even in the face of difficulty, you open doors to opportunities you never would have discovered otherwise. We see this in the lives of so many people who've achieved greatness. Walt Disney was rejected over 300 times before he was able to secure funding for his dream of Disneyland. Thomas Edison faced countless failures before he finally invented the light bulb. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her job as a news anchor, but she didn't give up. She trusted that there was something greater ahead for her. Each of these individuals had moments where their faith was tested and their perseverance was pushed to the limit, but they didn't give up. They kept moving forward, and in doing so, they opened doors to opportunities beyond what they could have imagined. The key is to keep going, even when the journey gets tough. Don't let the difficulties you face today convince you that you're not moving in the right direction. Every challenge, every setback, every obstacle you face is simply part of the process, and it is leading you to something greater. The road may not always be clear, but trust that with faith and perseverance, the right doors will open at the right time. Maybe you're facing a season in your life right now where it feels like you've been waiting forever for the breakthrough. You've worked hard, prayed hard, and believed hard, but things just don't seem to be moving forward. In those moments, I want you to hold on to this truth. God has not forgotten you. The door is not closed forever. It's just not the right time yet. Keep trusting, keep persevering, keep walking by faith, and you'll see that the door will open at just the right moment. Faith and perseverance don't just open new doors, they create new paths. They reveal opportunities that you might have missed if you hadn't kept going. Sometimes the door that opens is one you didn't even know existed. But when you have the faith to step through it and the perseverance to walk down the path, you'll find that it leads to places far beyond your wildest dreams. The beauty of faith and perseverance is that they transform you as much as they transform your circumstances. When you keep pressing on, when you keep believing and moving forward, you're not just waiting for the door to open, you're being shaped into the person who is ready to walk through it. The strength, character, and resilience you develop along the way will prepare you for the opportunities that lie ahead. So no matter where you are in your journey, remember this: faith and perseverance open doors. They are the keys to unlocking the next level of your life. Keep believing. Keep moving forward. Keep trusting that the right doors will open for you. Your breakthrough is coming. And when it does, you'll look back and realize that the door you were waiting for was never closed. It was just waiting for you to have the faith and perseverance to find it. We've all made mistakes. There's no one walking this earth who hasn't, no matter how perfect they may seem on the outside. Mistakes are a part of the human experience, and they're inevitable. Whether it's a poor decision in our personal lives, a failure at work, or an action we wish we could undo, mistakes are often a source of deep regret and self-doubt. We replay them in our minds, wondering how we could have done things differently, and sometimes we allow them to dictate how we see ourselves. But here's the truth: your mistakes do not define you. They are simply a part of your journey, a single chapter in a much larger story. Too often, we let our mistakes become our identity. We tell ourselves, asterisk, I'm not good enough because I messed up. Asterisk or asterisk, I'll never get it right because of what I did in the past. Asterisk. But when you make a mistake, you are not your mistake. You are not your past. Mistakes, when viewed correctly, are not the end of your story. They are stepping stones, valuable lessons that teach us what we need to know in order to move forward and grow. Think of every great figure in history, from inventors to artists to entrepreneurs. None of them achieved greatness without making mistakes along the way. In fact, many of them would say that their mistakes were crucial to their success. Take Thomas Edison, for instance. He failed thousands of times before successfully inventing the light bulb. When asked about his many failures, he didn't see them as defeats. He saw them as experiments that were part of the process. He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Asterisk, he understood that failure wasn't something to be ashamed of, but something to learn from. He didn't let his mistakes define him. He used them to refine his approach and ultimately achieve his goals. It's the same for you. Your mistakes, no matter how big or small, are not a reflection of your worth. They are moments in time that offer you the chance to learn, to grow, and to make better choices in the future. You don't have to stay stuck in regret. You don't have to carry the weight of your past decisions with you as though they are an anchor holding you back. Think about the concept of a sculptor. When a sculptor starts with a block of marble, it's rough and unshaped. The artist chips away at the stone, making mistakes, adjusting, refining the form. But it's only through that process, the mistakes and the adjustments, that the beautiful sculpture emerges. In much the same way, you are being sculpted by your mistakes. Each one is an opportunity to shape yourself into the person you are meant to be. But here's the thing. While mistakes don't define you, how you respond to them does. The key is not to wallow in guilt or shame, but to use each mistake as a lesson for growth. When you make a mistake, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to become better? Asterisk. Instead of seeing yourself as a failure, see yourself as a work in progress, someone who is constantly learning, evolving, and improving. The greatest growth happens when we embrace our mistakes and refuse to let them hold us back. Too many people give up after making a mistake because they believe they're doomed to repeat it or that they're not capable of doing better. But the truth is that the only failure that truly holds us back is the failure to keep going after a setback. The only mistake that can define you is the belief that you're defined by your mistakes. If you've made a mistake in your past, I want you to release it. Stop carrying that burden around as though it's a permanent part of who you are. Your past does not dictate your future. Your mistakes do not seal your fate. You have the power to rewrite your story, to choose the direction you want to go, and to step into the person you were always meant to be. Imagine your life as a book. Each chapter is filled with experiences, both good and bad. Your mistakes are simply chapters that you can learn from and grow from, not permanent labels that you wear forever. When you make peace with your past, you open the door to a future filled with possibility. Remember, your worth is not determined by your mistakes. You are more than the things you wish you could have done differently. You are a unique and valuable person, full of potential. The road ahead of you is not defined by what you've done in the past. It's defined by the choices you make in the present and the future. So don't let your mistakes weigh you down. Let them be the fuel that drives you forward. Embrace the lessons they've taught you, learn from them, and use them to create a better future. Your story is far from over, and your mistakes are simply the stepping stones that will lead you to greater things. You are not defined by what you've done. You are defined by who you are becoming, and who you are becoming is someone capable of greatness. There's a saying that goes, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Asterisk, while it may sound cliche at times, there's so much truth in those words. Life has a way of testing us, pushing us to our limits, and sometimes even knocking us down. But I want to remind you today that your test is not the end of the story. It's only the beginning of a powerful testimony waiting to unfold. We've all been through challenges that have shaken us to our core, whether it's a personal struggle, a financial hardship, a relationship falling apart, or a crisis of health. In those moments, it's easy to feel like life is unfair, like you're carrying a burden that's too heavy to bear. You may question why things are happening the way they are, or wonder if there's any purpose to your pain. It's natural to feel lost in the midst of the storm. But I want to encourage you today. The test you're facing is not in vain. It's not meaningless. Your test is the very thing that is preparing you for the testimony that will inspire others and bring glory to your life and your purpose. Think about the most powerful stories you've heard, the ones that moved you deeply, that inspired you to keep going when you thought you couldn't. Most of those stories didn't come from people who had easy lives or smooth journeys. No, the most compelling stories come from people who've been tested by fire, who faced adversity and come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever before. Your test, your trial is shaping you into someone who can relate to others who are going through the same thing. It's preparing you to be a beacon of hope for those who are struggling, giving you the empathy and understanding to help others see that they too can overcome whatever challenges they face. But the key is how you respond. Do you allow the test to break you, or do you allow it to build you? Do you let the pain define you, or do you let it shape your testimony? There's a reason why the strongest trees are those that have withstood the fiercest storms. The winds may bend them, the rain may pour down on them, but through it all, they stand tall. In the same way, the challenges you face are not meant to break you. They're meant to refine you. They're meant to build character, resilience, and strength. They're meant to show you who you truly are and to reveal the depth of your inner power. But here's the thing. You don't just go through tests for your own benefit. You go through them to help others. Your testimony is not just for you. It's for those who are watching you. Those who are waiting for a sign that they too can make it through the storm. When you come out on the other side of your test, you will have a story to share, a story that will encourage others, give them hope, and remind them that no matter how dark the night may seem, the dawn is always on the other side. Think of someone like Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison for his beliefs. For years, he faced unimaginable conditions, physical abuse, isolation, deprivation, but he never allowed the test to steal his spirit. Instead, he emerged from prison with a message of peace, reconciliation, and hope. His life became a powerful testimony that no matter the challenges you face, your character, your spirit, and your purpose can never be defeated unless you allow it to happen. Or think of the story of Job from the Bible. Job lost everything, his wealth, his health, his family, but he never lost his faith. Despite the suffering he endured, he kept trusting in God's plan, and in the end, he was blessed even more than before. Job's test became his testimony, and his story has inspired millions for generations. His example shows us that sometimes the very things we lose in the test will be restored to us in even greater measure when we persevere through it with faith. Your own story can be just as powerful. Your test may seem overwhelming right now, and you may be questioning how much longer you can hold on. But I promise you there is purpose in the pain. There is meaning in the struggle. When you keep pushing forward, when you keep believing, and when you keep moving through the test, you will emerge with a testimony that will change lives, including your own. Your testimony is not about the pain you've experienced. It's about the strength you found through it. It's not about the mistakes you've made, but about the lessons you've learned and how they've shaped you into a better, wiser, and more compassionate person. It's about the victories you've won, not just over your circumstances, but over your own doubts, fears, and limitations. So when you face a test, don't despair. Don't let the difficulty of the moment convince you that it's the end of your story. Instead, remember that this test is a setup for a greater testimony. Keep believing, keep persevering, keep moving forward no matter how slow the progress may seem. Because at the end of your test, there's a testimony waiting to be shared with the world, a story that will inspire others to keep going, to never give up, and to trust that they too will come through the storm stronger than ever. Your test is not in vain. Your pain is not wasted. It's all part of the process that will lead you to a victory far greater than you can imagine. So don't give up. Don't let the test break you. Instead, let it be the very thing that propels you towards your testimony, the story of how you overcame, how you trusted, and how you came out stronger on the other side. And when you do, you'll realize that the test was not just for you, it was for everyone who will be touched by your testimony. As we come to the end of this message, I want to leave you with one powerful truth. The challenges you face are not meant to break you, but to make you. Every failure, every setback, every rejection, and every moment of hardship is part of a greater story, a story that is unfolding in your life right now. Your test is not the end. It is the beginning of something bigger, something more beautiful, and something that will ultimately lead to your testimony. You have the power within you to turn your failures into stepping stones, your rejection into redirection, and your mistakes into lessons that will propel you toward a brighter future. Through faith and perseverance, you will find new doors opening, ones you never imagined could be there. And when you walk through those doors, you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. So, whatever test you are facing right now, remember this: it is not the end of your journey. It's merely the beginning of a greater purpose. Keep believing. Keep persevering. Turn your test into your testimony, because in the end, your story will not only change your life, it will inspire others to keep going, to keep fighting, and to trust that no matter how difficult the journey may seem, there's always a greater victory ahead. Don't give up. Keep moving forward. Your best days are yet to come, and your testimony will be the beacon of hope that lights the way for others. So stand tall, press on, and know that you are destined for greatness. Your test is transforming into your testimony, and that testimony will be your legacy.